How many of you here are like coders, developers? Anyone doing automation engineering?
Yay!
Tonight, everyone has automation.
We hire interns.
Yeah. Teach them, right? Today is our first collaboration with Hotwell. So a little bit about what WWCodeKL does. We're basically we're all more diversity.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the day. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Give you a little introduction to our company. We're actually called we have a mission is basically so format a way to change happiness in careers you find and it helps you advance in life. So therefore, that's why we're providing a career opportunity. Basically, for software developers, this platform can help evaluate your skills in terms of how fast you code, how much errors you make, when you code at an optimal time, and get a visualization of yourself in terms of how you code yourself. So what you do is very simple. You link your GitHub account, and it'll your skill set. So expanding in ASEAN at the moment. Basically, I want to for job opportunities in Japan. Please scan here now. So another way to access it will be going on Forkwell, FORKWELL-KL.com, and you can register your interest over there. So I hope you guys have a nice event tonight, and please enjoy the juice and the food as well, and mingle around. Thank you. Okay.
You find shy. Okay. So, we're gonna start with our first speaker. Sorry. We're going to talk about test projects.
Huh? Oh, sorry. Here you go. Wait 1 second.
It's a good one.
Is it good one? I hope so. Here you go.
Are you going to move around?
Don't think so.
Okay. So you can just put it here.
Yeah.
This is for the recording. So, are you alright with me putting here? Just put it. Just clip it on the neck.
On neck?
Yeah. Alright. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Okay. Test project is actually a pretty new product in the market. It's built by Israel team. Okay. We believe the test project is the new generation of test tools. Test project to record, develop, and analyze test automations. So why test project? Okay. a next generation text and executive framework built for automate mobile, web, Android, and iOS. So set out a test repository, record tests, develop tests, run and debug, test anywhere, utilize reusable automation action, collaboration with teammates, get in-state and test reports. Okay. So our powerful tools is Smart Test Records, Add-on, STK, Extensive Analytical. Okay. There's a test agent will be needed, cross-platform component supporting, test recording, execution, development and debugging, collaborative testing, repository. Basically, it's all on web-based cloud. Developer just need the machine. You don't need to go through the tedious settings, SDK download, installation, all this. I'm going to show a quick demo. All right. For example, you have built a website. Okay. You're going to test this. Okay, these are the test projects looks like: the home, job monitors, add-on, reports, agents, developer. On the first time, once you get login, it's free. When you are a single user of 5 agents, you just need to log in and register, get the invitation, and then you download the Windows, and then you have the test agent installed. Alright, then you will see a little icon here. Alright, add-ons are the new things you might need for your mobiles or web, like mobile extend, Slack actions, elements, web extensions, and more add-on on RESTful API clients. Okay, create a project. Create new, select web, next, test project. Okay, select, and then you can click start recording. It's recommended to use a Chrome. Alright, here you go. So first, you want to enter actions, type text, key, John, great, Any action that you're going to move will be recorded, so don't have too many clicks on the screen. Type text. One, two, three, four. Yep. If you want it to be secrets, also can. Means you don't want to show the 1, 2, 3. You just need to add the parameters, put password, value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put as secret. Okay. Great. Okay, then click on the log on button. You can see it's recording the actions. We don't need to scroll. Delete it. Okay. So you go to the next page. Okay. This might you want to select Malaysia. Okay. Action, type text. Say TTDI. Email. All right, and lock up. Okay, it's all done. Put a pause. So we want to play back what we have entered and how we're going to run. Done. You can also do it. For example, I want to do it run until here. Yeah. There's also a little thing you can do a validation. Validation, yeah. Text contain, yeah. John. Yeah. So we can also do a validation on the screen. It's all on elements. So HTML elements, yeah. Okay. So once you're done, you can close the recording screen. So here, you can create a job, new job. Because we want to test on browser, we want to know Chrome, you know. This screen actually detects the windows on what browser you have. I only have 3, okay, Chrome and Edge. On demand, on time, certain time, concurrent, selective time schedule, up to you. But we're going to do on demand. Finish. Drag your test job here. All right. We will execute it. So we open the next browser, Edge. Okay. Once it's done, Louder. Very hard, huh? Check on the reports. Okay, then it will show you all the test stats. Okay, if there is an error, you can also switch it to show only field. You click on it, it will give you a screenshot, so you know where was it. Okay. So the second thing I'm going to show is on mobile. Make sure your mobile is on develop mode. Click on mobile. Select Android. Okay. Even I'm on Windows machine, I can actually connect iPhone. Okay. But you need to set the Apple ID developer. You know, you need to create Apple account. Same goes on Mac machine. You can test the Android device as well because it's on the website. It's on the test project website. So you can directly upload your APK file here. It will install into your mobile, or you can select from your device. So it detected my Samsung. We do a record. So it's asking whether you want to reset the cache. Yeah. Okay. Okay, you can see the phone. It's open the application. So it's replicating your phone in the image on web. So you can do exactly the same thing like web. Action. Type text. Click log one. Okay, you might see the screen, there's a keyboard. Okay, you need to drag. You can see it's swiping around. Click on logout. Okay, we are done. And then we can play back. You can see on the movement on the phone. So when you share this test case and the project to your colleagues, you just need to add them as a team member. They can detect their phone anywhere in their country. They just need to connect that, and then you can use their agent as long as you are same team member. All right. That's all. Any questions?
Do you require a country to install on your computer?
Yeah, just now I show on the agent, the window.
Okay.
Just a exe file. There's no sellout you need to done. Just run the exe file. Yeah. So yeah.
Can you connect it with the repository of options to simulate the number of registrations? I hope I'm not asking a stupid question because I wasn't here for the first 5 minutes. I was outside. Can you connect the database of users?
Yeah, you can check on the add-ons. There are some MSSQL, yeah.
Simulate actual registrations from 10,000 people, see how it goes.
For the, you talking about the stress test?
Yeah.
Okay, stress test is not at the moment, but there's something also you can do. That means maybe you got 10 users. So what you can do, you can create a data source. So
other than also stress test, if you want to check different patterns, for instance, different type names, possibilities of validation and whatnot.
Different names?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your names different data types.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So how you do that? First, you can download the CSV template. Means you, just now I've been putting the name, address, you can all set as parameter, okay? Then you can generate this CSV template. Once you get a CSV template, you open Excel, and then you just put John, Mary, any name, and then you upload as a data source, upload to here, upload a data source, drag here, okay? And then you create a job, and then you see this little database button, just select the data source. Yeah. So you will run one by one, but not concurrent at the moment.
Yeah, sure. No.
Yeah.
In case you have different types of, say for instance, you're going to get a website. I'm just thinking about the possibility of, for instance, you have a website where different nationalities can be registering, and then you're going to have different sets of characters, whether the website is going to be supporting them or not.
Yes, if it's a different parameter, yes, definitely. Then you can also create your parameters here. Means some of the parameter like login, username, password, address is all same across all applications. I mean, all application need. You can just create the parameter names, and then you can just reuse it in your recording. You can just select back the parameter. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Hi, I want to ask, as you show it on Windows, how is the test process like on Linux, especially when you have to run headers without the browser? And how does that help with my CICD?
Okay, there is a Linux agent here also, so you can just download it.
Is it like, does it still require it to, is it, you have to have your Chrome up or something, or is it like
Chrome is definitely needed because it's recommended to do the recording. Okay. Yeah, so your Linux still have to install Chrome.
Okay, if that's the case, am I able to record and export the test parameters as an input for my to run on the terminal? Because
you don't need to, as long as your friends, your team member already create the test case, you can just share across members. and then you add your member's name here, then they can see what you have recorded. They don't need to redo the recording step. Yeah, means what projects and what project and what test you've been graded on the web, the test project web. Your colleagues can see it. Yeah, answer your questions.
Yeah, I'll talk to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Website for? Okay, then there must be some UAT or SIT, so there must be some IP, right? Should be accessible from your laptop, right? Then, no? Is it a proxy? There is a plugin for proxy, but if it's a VPN, then probably you need to connect your VPN from the laptop, right?
Isn't this a service? If it is a SaaS service, then how can we get your server to get to see our environment?
Can you run internally, intranet?
Intranet. Then you must be putting some IP. I mean, you need to put some domain IP, right?
You mean to whitelist, is it?
The question is possibly, is there a package to download so they can install it locally in their own network, which possibly, as I understand, is not connected to the internet, so for security reasons?
Oh, okay.
So they want to be able to have in-house testing.
If you say no internet, then cannot work.
It's not a package that you can download and install in your own server?
Yeah, but the recording things, you need to be uploaded to the server.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the recording steps, yeah.
Right, so anything that is within the VPN is not visible, is not accessible.
Well, as long, I mean,
I thought normally SaaS service would provide way to whitelist certain servers. Anyway, yeah.
If it's, I'm not too sure about SaaS, but if you talk about internet and no internet, if no internet, then you can't even access this page. Yeah, okay.
That it is within the network that is not visible to your.
So you would probably like private instance where you have somewhere like staging the
let's say for example the cloud, let's say AWS or something.
We got
on that instance, you can install that. It's connected to the internet. You can install that package on that instance and then run it. So in Linux, you might need to maybe have some kind of GUI so you can see what you're doing.
We
so
got
maybe SSH or use a VNC to be able to see what you're doing visually. Because I don't think you can do this via terminal. So
there's only another choice. Let's say you don't like the using the web recording. We got a SDK for you. Currently, it supports Java and C# developers. So on Java and C#, so you can do on the code. Yeah, you can write the codes and then you put the codes into the record, but still have to connect internet.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yeah, so maybe the last and not least, the package. You can go for free forever. It's unlimited user, unlimited test execute. You can support up to 5 agents, means 5 terminal. You got 500 MB and 2 projects. So anything exceed on that, you have to probably think of $8 per agent per month. It's on Israel, okay. But I think 2 projects, 5 agents is more than enough for small, for startup, yeah.
I want to ask if the test can run parallelly for iOS and Android.
Yes, yes. You can detect the Windows machine with the iPhone, and Mac detect the Android machine. No problem. The mobile, yeah.
Run the test parallelly
Yeah, then you will run one by one.
No, Android and iOS together.
Unless you're using two agents, because the text execute one by one. Or if you're using two agents, means one machine here, one machine there, then you can run parallel.
The app that you showed just now is a hybrid app or is a native app?
Okay, good questions. At first, they support only native, but I try to build on Ionic and native script. They are hybrid, tested, they fixed the bugs already, so it's working on hybrid. Yeah.
Question. So the testing process is automated based on image recognition, or is it programmatically?
Is the element? Element? Yeah.
Yeah, the recording and the automation part. Is it recognizing the images?
It's recognizing the elements, the HTML elements. Yeah.
So let's say if I have a overlay on top of my screen,
yeah,
that hit certain JavaScript error that it didn't take away, for example, a spinner.
Oh, then you need to add add-ons. There are some jQuery add-ons here. You're talking about a spinner?
No. Actually, what I mean is, for example, my spinner encounters certain JavaScript error and it is blocking my contents.
Okay.
Will the automation script still able to select the content that is hidden behind that?
Well, if it's a pop-out error or something, then it won't go through your record. I mean, your test scenario won't go through. It will error. Definitely, there's some action need to be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the spinner might be blocking the contents.
Yeah.
Okay. It means it is using image processing to find the components, is it?
Actually, I can understand answer this one. It's not. It's based on HTML and elements.
Right. Time's up, right?
For like pressing questions, you can engage Su Qing afterwards. Let's give a hand for Su Qing. Thank you so much. And our next speaker is Yong Shen, who will be talking about Cypress.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Try it out. Are you gonna move around? Are you gonna move around? I don't think so. You can just put it. Try not to do speak and tangle. Bury it. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Hello, testing. Okay. So hi everyone, I'm Yongshen. So I'll be talking about how to automate your tests with Cypress. So a little bit about myself. I'm a front-end engineer, and I'm also a Women Who Code member. And I develop web applications using React and also Node.js and GraphQL as backend. So later on, you can find me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and I'll be uploading my slides to my blog as well. So we will go deep into some of the approach on how to get started into end-to-end testing with Cypress. and also share some tips and tricks to help you to navigate through the sea of documentation and guides. So I hope I don't have to convince you to, or your manager, to put time and effort into testing. Yep. But what I will not cover due to time constraint is some advanced use cases and what is already covered in the Cypress official documentation, which is already very useful. So when you're free, just check out the guides and tutorials on the website. So for those who haven't used Cypress before, you might be wondering, what is Cypress? So Cypress is an open source, a free UI end-to-end testing framework that is written in JavaScript. So you will be also writing your tests in JavaScript. So it doesn't matter how your web application is built, because Cypress can test anything that runs within your browser. So as long as you can open up your web application in browser, and then it can be tested in Cypress, but only in Chrome for now. Oops. Okay, so what does end-to-end testing mean? So there are actually 4 different types of testing. The bottommost is static. So static test means for weakly typed languages like JavaScript and Python, you might need to do some type checking. Here I use TypeScript, or you can also use Flow. So I use TypeScript to write React applications, so it can help me to catch some error that is has mismatched type. So oops. Then next is unit testing. Unit testing is to verify if each individual parts work as expected, and integration testing is to verify if several units work as expected. And lastly, end-to-end testing is like you have a robot that behaves like a user clicking around your website and then trying to verify if the functions are all working properly. So we will be using Cypress to conduct our end-to-end testing. So maybe some will say testing is so difficult and maybe a waste of time, because I'm not using 100% of my time to write codes, but I have to dedicate part of my time to write tests as well. But one way or another, someone will have to test your app. If it's not you, then it will be your users. So do you want to get up at 3 AM in the morning when your app breaks? So, and it also saves time from doing repetitive work. So for example, you want to test a particular function that requires a few steps that is keep repeating. Like for example, you need to log in, you need to create a blog post, then only you can test your command functionality. So by having an automated testing, you can save those time. So you also have less worry when you are refactoring and dealing with changes. So it gives you more confidence, and also it saves you time, and it saves you all the trouble, so you can focus on developing the quality app. So there are so many testing frameworks that's out there. You probably have heard of Selenium, Puppeteer, Test Cafe, but why we choose Cypress? Because Cypress makes it so easy to set up, write, and debug your tests in a way that was not possible before. Now you can write tests easily and quickly and watch them execute in real time as you build your web application. And because it is so fast to execute, it can be incorporated into a CI/CD pipeline. So, or you can also have it run automatically each time you push into your commit. But Cypress has its limitation too. So, for example, it doesn't support certain native browser events like file upload and mouse over. And also, currently, it doesn't support cross-browser testing. It only works on Chrome and Electron for now, but they are looking into support for many different browsers. So you can expect it to be supported soon. And currently not supporting headless Chrome yet, and also no iframe, no cross-domain testing. So if these things are important to you, then you might need to hold your decision into Cypress first. So knowing what Cypress can or cannot do will help you to decide whether it is for you. So if it is indeed for you, so how do we get started? So just 3 simple steps. First is you create a folder for your Cypress codes. So let's say you create a folder called Test My App. And inside your folder, you need to run yarn add Cypress if you're using yarn, or use npm install Cypress. And either way, you need node installed. So, and lastly, when you get all that installed, just type npx cypress open, then you can start running your tests. So when you run npx cypress open, you will see this panel is called the test runner. So here you will be able to see the tests that are running, the test script that you have written, and for example, you can go to the sidebar and look at how many tests are passing, how many are failing, the time that it took, and then you can even mouse over on each step to see in real time, or it's actually not real time, the snapshot of each step. So it gives you a good insight and good visual feedback while you are testing your app. So where can you find the test scripts? So it is actually inside your folder that you created just now, and your test will sit under Cypress/integration folder. So the naming convention is normally the name of the module .spec.js. And also Cypress has already put some examples in the example folder for your reference. So let's look at one of the real-world examples. It's called demo.realworld.io. Like, so real world, right? So you may find some of the following slides familiar with the video that I posted in this link. It's actually by Brian Mann, the founder of Cypress. So because his video is so good, so I shamelessly put them in. So go and check out his video later. So to be honest, what is the hardest part about testing for you? To me, and I believe to most people, is actually knowing what to test. Okay, so what should we test for the demo.realworld.io website? So let's imagine that you own this website and you want to make sure that all functionalities are working as expected. Then first you need to define and ask yourself what is expected. How will you ensure that it is indeed working? So now it's time to put out your tester hat. So for example, for register, login, and settings page, you might want to test these few things. You want to test whether the form validation are working, the links and buttons are linked to the proper page. So at this stage, when you are listing down the things to test, is part of the planning, and planning is very important. It's as important as writing the test itself. So now you have identified what to test. Next, you need to identify the sequence to test. So let's look at what you can test first. So it really depends on your app. So ask yourself, can you test, let's say, can you test register first? I think can. Then next, can you test login first? Well, you need to register first. Then can you test settings first? No, you also need to log in first. How about list articles? No, you also need to create new article first. So now it becomes obvious that what we should first test, it is indeed register. So let's create let's create all the files for the different pages and elements that we want to test. So we give the name of the module and then .spec.js. So that's the naming convention that we are following. So for register, here are the things that we need to test. First, we need to check if the sign-up header is displaying. And second, if there is a link to log in. And then thirdly, we also need to check if the form validation is handled properly. So for example, if user didn't enter valid values in the mandatory fields, then there should be error messages. I'm not sure if you can see this. So here, for each and the different functions that you want to test, you can list it down in the each block. And then notice that at the very beginning, you have the before each. So here is where you put the function to run before every each block. So here is useful to put the function for visiting the target page. For example, if the page you want to access require login, then you might want to put the login function here. And then you might want to clean up the state, so it's useful to put at here also. Okay, now let's look at the first one. How do you check if the word sign up appear on the page as a header? So now let's crack open the inspection panel. And you can see it's actually inside the H1 tag. So in your Cypress code, just put the selector H1 inside the get and chain it with contain. So this means that the test will pass if the H1 element indeed contain the word sign up. So for input fields, it's similar. So first you need to select the element that you want to target. So if you want to select the username field, then you need to target on the input tag with the attribute placeholder equals to username. And then simulate a typing action. So the word that you want to type is user123. And then select the form element with the word sign up and click on it. And this will submit the form. And finally, check whether the error messages will contain the sentence username has already been taken. So you can run it with the test runner, means you just run the same command again, npx cypress open, and then it will run the script that you have just written. So if you see a green tick, then it means that it indeed works. So it's easy, right? Writing test code in Cypress is almost like writing pseudocode, and it's easily understandable and also easy to write. So what if the element to select has a dynamic class name? So for certain frameworks, the class name that it is generated might be dynamic. It is not always the same, like the previous one has dot, error, dash messages. So if let's say you have a dynamic one, okay, here's another feature of Cypress. You can use the Selector Playground. It's inside the test runner. So it looks something like this. So you can open up the test runner and mouse over to the element that you want to select, and it will suggest you the the selector that you can put. So let's say you want to test the home link, but as you can see, the class name is very long and not easily understandable, and it's most likely generated one. So if you copy over from the Selector Playground, the suggested class name, and put inside your Cypress code, it should work. But if the class name change, you need to change your test script as well, which means it is not robust. It is not robust to development code changes. So if it's not robust to code changes, it is highly likely that you are testing implementation details, which we should not do. Because as tester, we normally test the functionality if it works as expected, not the implementation details. So this is a quote from Ken C. Dodds. I call him the god of testing. So the more your tests resemble the way your software is used, the more confidence they can give you, and the more developers will like you. So what you can do, you can install a Cypress testing library. So this library is also is contributed by him. So the usage is simple. You just need to add this package by using yarn add Cypress testing library, and then add this line to the commands.js file. Sorry. Oops.
You can actually put it in your pocket.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I'm holding it so too long. Okay. Okay, so compared to the code just now, this is the original code that is the suggested selector by Cypress. Now with Cypress testing library, you can simplify it like this. So it's more easily understandable. So you can just say, I want to select an element that with the text home and click on it. And then the target URL should equal to this one. And then lastly, the third case, what if the element that you want to test is not visible? So let's say the link that you want to test is hidden inside the menu. So first you need to select the menu icon first, and then click on it, and then only you select the basic link, and then click on it again. So this is another example of using is a library called start components. So it actually generates class name. So we cannot use class name to select, else you will see a very long selector like this. And also, like what I said, it's not robust. So this is not robust. So now, okay, here's a tip. If you want to select an icon or image, you can look for the alternate text or title. That usually won't change. So for example, this one, I will notice, this particular icon has a title fold. So I will select by the title. I will select an element with the SVG tag, and then inside there is a title flow, and click on that. And then I select the basics link inside the navigation and click on it. This should work, but sometimes Cypress will complain that the element is not visible. It might be covered by another element, or there's another reason. But if you know what you are doing, then you can add false true, and then it works. So comparing two approaches, which one you think you would prefer? So this is the first one, and then this is the second one. And obviously the second one is more easily readable and maintainable, and you are not so likely to change your test scripts if, let's say, the developer has made some changes on the style. So you might have noticed that there are countless ways to select an element, but which one is the most suitable? So there's like get by label tags, by placeholder tags, by display value. There are so many possibilities. So luckily there is a guide to follow. So you can check out this link. Then here it provides you a very good guidance on which query that you should use depending on different situations. Okay, lastly, the key takeaways is Cypress can be used to test your web application as long as it can be opened with Chrome and Electron for now. And planning your tests is as important as executing them. So if you're a developer and you're trying to write test script, and so don't forget to communicate with your test engineers. They might have more insights on what are the cases, what are the edge cases to cater. So when you are writing tests, you need to put out your tester hat and test if you are the tester, not as if you are the developer, so you will avoid testing the implementation details. And last but not least, read up the guides and documentation on Cypress official website is really super helpful. And if you found many online resources, and if you come across the name Ken C. Dodds, please click into his articles. Okay, the final slide is some job advertisement. Yes, I'm working for Finexus. We are a fintech company. We are writing fintech web applications. Our clients are mostly banks and financial institutions. So our web application is written in React, and we also use Node and GraphQL. So we are looking for developers, and we are also looking for QA engineers. And it's a big bonus if you know how to, or you are willing to learn how to write automated tests. Okay, thank you. Is there any question?
Hi. You said that Cypress is your CI/CD pipeline.
Yeah.
But it's you said that Cypress is you cannot run it headless as of now.
I haven't looked into integrating into CI/CD pipeline for now. So maybe you can check out. I think I found a guide on the Cypress website, so you can check it out.
All right. I have another question. What are your experiences running this Cypress on, say, the terminal like Linux VM? Because like I personally have used this async framework called Nightmare.js with. So what I use it runs well on Windows because it has the it runs on Electron, right? And you run it in this, which is great amazing. And then when you run it on Linux, it's just full of fails. And when you check it out, it's nice that there's some audio drivers, audio or video editing is missing.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, I was wondering if Cypress has an issue of like.
Personally, I only run it within my laptop. I have not run it in a Linux environment before. So maybe I will look into that, see if I can put up in my Linux VM and see if it still runs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
How can I run the test for the different screen sizes from different sizes? So if I want to change the screen size on my mobile view has different data or different setup menu than my desktop application. So how can I change the screen size test?
In Cypress, actually, it's possible to define the screen sizes that you want to test. So probably at the beginning of the test script, you can define the size that you want to test. So it will run your test with that size that you define.
Actually, we are using like Cypress in my company.
Okay.
So we are expecting we can expect the cross-browser caching, cross-browser support so far only Chrome is the support.
Yes.
So when can we expect like a Firefox Safari?
This one I can't really say for that, but I've seen there is some progress and discussion going on. So yeah, stay tuned.
And as the question Cypress supports CI Jenkins and TeamCity also. Currently we are using like Jenkins with Cypress.
Oh
so
wow,
it runs,
okay.
headless as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it does work in headless mode.
CI/CD.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Any more questions? I have a question. What do you guys like? How do you do your data cleanup with Cypress machine?
Debugging?
No, like data cleanup. So like when you test, maybe you might create some an account or something, but you want to clean it up afterwards. So usually, how do you do that with Cypress?
Sorry, can you repeat?
you need to like clean up data.
Oh, okay, okay.
You want data to persist on your server. So how do you do that?
Okay, cleaning up is actually part of the thing that you can put it in the before each. So at the before each block, you can define the operation that you want to run. Like for example, you want to clean up, then you can put the cleanup function there. So you can make sure that each of your tests it run in a clean state.
So it's not recommended to put anything in after each. We never use that.
Yeah, it's not recommended.
Any questions? If not, thank you, Yongshen.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Okay, next time we have Ivan. He's going to talk about Mocha.
Ivan. Okay. Sorry for not.
It's okay.
You're going to join this again. No, you don't understand here. You're going to put it here. And you're going to download the same.
Rejoin.
Yeah.
So I just sit or what?
Yeah. I'm going to full screen this.
It's not. Just take this.
Okay. You're going to share screen. You're going to walk around. Yeah, right. Oh, you have to reset the permission. Yeah, it's your screen now. Like this. Yeah, you're gonna walk around.
Also can.
Also can. Then you're gonna put it into your pocket. Put your phone in.
No, I'm taking my phone.
Oh, then you need this.
Sorry.
This is for everyone. This is for me.
Okay, hello, I'm Iwan Tam. I'm a student and also I'm doing internship in Samut. So today I'll be talking about from development to production. Basically, from how testing helps and how testing works from starting from development until just to production. Okay. It doesn't work. Okay, first, now I'll be mainly talking about automated testing. The topics will be a bit different where I won't be sticking to just one framework. At first, I talk about using Jest, but I still have some code snippets for Jest and like coverage. I'm not using the original one that I'm talking about. I won't be using that. I'll be using another one. Mainly today, I'll be talking about testing practices and how to do tests using continuous integration and test coverage. And I explain like what is test coverage and how will it help. So first, have anyone recognize this? Anyone? This is like a history. Traditionally, in C projects, you will see in many open source projects, you will see like T. I think even in Linux kernel source tree, you will see like T means this is test. So they put all the tests here. So these are like tradition, like maybe 20 years ago, before I was born. Yeah. So okay. So now I'll be talking like why automated testing and why do we need automated testing? So the main thing about automated testing, why is it good, is that you can do test-driven development. Let's say you want to develop something, and the users give you cases, but give you test cases, so you develop according to the test cases, and not just develop this, develop that, and then at the end, when they want something different, then you only do the test cases, which will be a bit confusing. So instead, you just write the test first, and then you write the code. That's what people say is good. Like in the other side of the world, like US, they say this is good, but not everyone follows that. Of course, it will be best if you follow that. And next is that testing helps you to cover like expected cases as well as the unexpected cases. Let's say most of the time you expect this, that, and you can test this and that. But sometimes you don't get to test some. You test during testing, you figure out like you got some bugs, so you need to go back and fix them. As well, you know what you need to be covered in your code, so you don't write like extra stuff. So mainly you just write to pass the test, or you just cover the edge cases. And next, also testing helps you to figure out like defects. What kind of defects? Like language. Let's say, for example, language. Say JavaScript. JavaScript is very flexible, and same like Python, they are not typed. As well, if they are typed, let's say TypeScript, they have their own issues as well, because the type is like check compile time, and it will be transpiled into JavaScript later on. Same goes for Python, but it's a bit stricter as compared to JavaScript, because JavaScript is like you can equal a string to an integer and then it works, and then you can equal an array to something else and then it will work as well. And framework as well. Sometimes there's some bugs in the framework that you didn't know of. Let's say I don't have a specific case right now, but sometimes the framework has some issues where you can find out during testing. So you can find out like what are the stuff during testing, and of course testing lets you deploy during Friday. Let's say right now without testing, if you deploy during Friday and then some issues happen, you need to go back to office or what? You need to like try forgot when you're sleeping, somebody call you and then you need to fix the code in production. So you need to revert your commit and then send it back. But with testing, it acts like a roadblocker to production. So using automated testing tools, using like the continuous integration, if you put your test into continuous integration, it helps you to test whether your code will fail or not. So when you set up it as continuous integration before the continuous deployment, so before it deploys, it will run the test cases and deploys only if it succeeds. So you can just deploy every commit like fast. That's how they do like agile development. Okay, so now let's say you want to write tests, but if you haven't written any tests, how do you start? And if you are new to the language, it's even worse. Because people say test-driven development, test-driven development. Let's say you want to start a test development from scratch. You want to write the test before you want to write the code, but you don't know how to write the code. How do you write the test? And you also don't know how you need to write the test. So what I suggest for like beginners is that you write the function first, and then you only write the test. So you know how you are going to use that framework or the language first, and then you only start writing the test, and so you know how to test the code. After that, then only you write the test, and then you write the functions, and profit. You just keep continuing second. You don't need to do, and then that's how you can get into test-driven development cycle. So you just write the test first and then develop. But at first, I would recommend to start writing the functions and then write the test first, because you don't know how the stuff works internally. And okay, so one of the cases, like how testing saved me in this case, I just show some examples. Okay, so this is some examples code. This code shows this code is Express.js code. So you see that it accepts some fields and it uses MongoDB internally. Like if you can see here, right? If you don't provide them, if you provide all the invalid fields, right, then you get all the data, even though you provide all the invalid fields. Like, because sometimes you just look at the code. This code seems valid, but the issue is with the framework. It's not with the code. So let's say the find by ID, you can see there's a field here, but if you pass in the fields with some strings, so it will extract the specific fields. But let's say if you pass in an empty string, supposedly you shouldn't get any field, right? But then the framework is like, I think the framework thinks that they are too clever. So the framework tries to guess what you want to do. So if the string is empty, means that you get all the fields. That's what you don't want, because all the fields are warnings, because they are all invalid fields. But instead, it should return nothing. So these are like how sometimes you get bugs that is unexpected, like by framework. These are framework bugs. Okay, so I'll just explain about the common testing type, like just now the speaker explained. So I didn't show testing, the static test here. We're talking about unit tests, integration tests, and end-to-end tests. Unit tests are basic, very simple, small tests that test functions. But integration and end-to-end tests, sometimes people might confuse. How is it different? Integration test is basically you get integrated with another like side effect. Let's say you want to have a database and you want to have your code connect to it, and you want to run the test, and the test depends on that side effect. Let's say you want to write some data back to the database, and so this is integration test, and how it differs from end-to-end test. End-to-end test is different in which you do the testing for the entire flow. So from A to Z, you test from A to Z. Usually, unit test and integration tests can be run in parallel. Okay, an example test in case you haven't written any test. This test is written in Rust. I run the Rust meetup, so if you want to join, you can come to join the next Rust meetup. So, okay, this is a very simple factorial function. You can see this is a very basic unit test where you test the factorial for the cases for 1, 2, and 3. So this is like how a very basic unit test works. It just tests the simple function. When writing unit tests, not all the cases you need to write a function for it. So sometimes people say write tests are good, but you don't need to say. But people say write tests for all the functions. Sometimes you don't need to listen to that, because you can just write the test on some of the functions. Just write tests for the functions that are testable. You don't need to write for all of them, because some of them are covered. So later I will show like how that works in code coverage. Okay, now I'll be talking about testing practices. Okay, first, for testing, it's best to decouple functions, like making the functions as minimal as it is, so it can be tested easily. Don't just chunk everything in the function. Make sure you check the psychometric complexity of the code. Most of the linter, they will check it. Like, let's say you write a code that spans like 5 pages, 5 of your screen, and usually the psychometric, they call this metric, they call psychometric complexity, to show how complex your code are. So just keep it small, and so you can write very simple tests to test the function. And next is fast and clean tests. I've experienced that seeing like test code that runs for like half an hour and 1 hour. Why do we need fast tests? So let's say most of the time, if you do testing, you don't need to write the code and then go check the real life scenario. Usually you can just write the test and just write the code. If the test passes the code, you can just continue this cycle until the end and just check the real life example. So if you have a fast testing, like let's say, usually it's best to have tests that finishes in like 1 minute or a few minutes. And if you are just writing that code and writing the test, try to run just one test. And sometimes in testing framework, usually they will give you like only, so you can specify that you want to test only this function. So you can just test the function, you can just write that test fast. You don't need to write. If you write one function, you test like hundreds of test cases. You don't need to do that. You just test that one function and then you just skip all the others. That's how you get like faster tests. As well, clean test is just like clean test is okay. It's just like keeping your code clean. Maybe I don't remember why I wrote that. And generate test code. In some cases, test codes can be generated. Like later I will show an example, but this one, if the language supports it, try to generate test code and avoid copy pasting the test code. So you can just write test code at like how you write normal code. You can write a list of inputs and outputs, and then you just create one single testing function that generate a lot of test code for you. So you don't need to write them one by one. And next is try to leverage language features. Some language provide something like doc test. Try to use them. Like let's say you write the function, you don't need to go to another page and write the test. Try to write the doc test, which stands for documentation test. You write some code inside the documentation. And let's say the code, why you need to do that? One of the reasons is that people seeing your documentation can as well see how to use your code. So you can as well use that code to test your code. So when people are reading your code, they can understand like how this code works. You can also show some failures, how your documentation test code fails. And next, sometimes you see tests try to like use side-by-side tests. You don't need to like use tests that is like on another file all the time. If the language supports it, you can use it. So this is for the first example for generating test code. Just like what I explained just now. First, you create, this is in JavaScript, Jest, and Mocha. So in this case, you are writing a simple unit test. Let's say you just specify all the cases like in cases up there. you specify the input and the output. Let's say you have a function that increase the character by 1 to the next character type. So you can just generate the test cases, and then for each test cases you generate the test code for them. So on the real life, when you run the test, it will run all of them for you, generate the test cases, so you don't have to waste your time copy pasting the code and change them all at once. Next, this is how I talk about the doc test. Let's say this is written using Python, but I've included some typing there that's new in Python 3.5. So here, I just create a function to check whether the string is a palindrome. So you can see that doc test, if none, okay, maybe I don't know how it is pronounced, but NaN, it can be reversed, right? So this returns true, and palindrome not returns false. So people don't need to go to your code and check how your code works. Sometimes this works when your editor like supports the auto completion. Sometimes they will show the function, right? Something like what is that called? Something like pop up on your when you are typing the code, some code completion will pop up, and then you will see this thing, so you know like how is it used. Okay, next is testing. Okay, this is how I explain like side-by-side test. You don't need to write the test code in another file. This one you just split the string and count how many words are there. In this case, you don't need to go to another file and check them. You can just write the test side by side, so it can keep the code very simple, and you can just edit the test code anytime you edit the code. Okay, anti-pitch. Today I'm talking about testing, right? So now I'll be talking why you shouldn't use testing. So one thing to do testing is, testing may not benefit everyone. Let's say you want a development. Let's say you are working for a company that do something like freelancing or consulting. Because those companies usually want to deliver product, testing have no added value usually. Unless the client want it, then you build it for them. If not, you just build your test code, just write your code like, just write your code, just throw everything in, and then if your code doesn't work, just hope that the client doesn't see it or something like that. Okay, this is because testing is tedious. They don't want to waste time, but sometimes you want to do your own product. So if you are doing your own product, sometimes it might be useful to do testing, so to reduce the technical debt. And next is also, sometimes testing doesn't work all cases because you think you can cover all the test cases, but most of the time you don't. Let's say you write some test cases, they can cover this, but sometimes the client just do something so weird that you cannot even think of. So your testing cannot really cover all the cases. Then what do we do? Later I'll explain on this. Yeah, okay, this here. So this is how you solve the issue of I don't have any code samples for this, but this is how you solve something that have that you are unexpected of. Let's say fuzzy testing. This is using fuzzy testing. Fuzzy testing. Anyone here know what is fuzzy testing? Or anyone use? So fuzzy testing is a kind of testing method to test your code based on what your code expects. So you don't give them like a real example. The fuzzy tester will throw in rubbish in, and then they will come out rubbish out. But sometimes it might work, sometimes it doesn't work. So you want to test all the extreme cases. Like imagine a kid going to a computer for testing and then just press A, and then they'll expect some kind of output, right? Fuzzy testing will do that for you. They will like shoot a bunch of input into for testing, so you know like so sometimes you get some errors you didn't expect, like stack overflow, buffer overflow or what. something like that, and then your code just break, and then sometimes you can get all of those weird cases through fuzzy testing. So if you are doing security, or you are doing some apps that needs very good reliability, try fuzzy testing, because it can help you detect like very tiny edge cases. Okay, next I will be discussing about continuous integration. Just curious, anyone use continuous integration for testing? And for linting? Yeah, just in case you don't know what is linting, it means that you use a linter, which a linter is something that checks for your code quality. Sometimes you notice that developers, newbies going to your interns going to your company, and then, okay, maybe not everyone, maybe like a few, they don't. Let's say I've seen people doing C and they center align the code. So there's like white spaces at the front, and all the code are at the center, like one line at the center and center align. And then I said, how I rate this? It's like not rateable. So linters solve them for you. Linters checks for your code quality. In some cases, linters checks for application performance loophole. So they will check if there's any more efficient way to do this kind of stuff. They will suggest you like some kind of language that provide very good linters for that. So in continuous integration, it's best to put that. So continuous integration is something that so it's like something before development and production. It's like CI/CD, continuous integration, and continuous deployment or continuous delivery. The CD part, I won't be talking about that. That's out of scope. And the continuous integration part basically means that you make your code integrated like continuously. So when you push your code changes, usually we use some kind of source control, right? Like Git, VCS, or Mercury if you are old school. So you write some test cases, and when you push your code to, let's say, the source control server, like the hosting server, GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket, or your own Git server if you can host it. So you write some tests on the server side. No, you write some code, something like Travis, that they can help you to run your test code, like automatically run your code before going to deployment. So usually in an agile development environment, so you just push your code, and then they run the test for you and run the lints for you. They check if your code breaks. If it breaks, don't deploy. If it doesn't break, just deploy, because it works. And if anything doesn't work, okay, you can of course you can still revert. And okay, code quality by linting, you can always lint to check for your code quality. It's not exactly like testing. You can just run some tools and then it will check for you. And it acts like a deployment circuit breaker. Just in case your test code fails, it won't deploy. There's something to improve your confidence. Okay, this is an example. I just randomly pull it out somewhere else from GitHub. So it's for Rust, but I believe it's similar for other languages. So this is a Travis script. Let's say you just run some checking and run the build. So if it fails to build don't deploy, or don't merge the pull request. Let's say you are in GitHub, you have an open source project. You want people to contribute, they need to send you pull requests, right? But then when they send you pull requests, you need to go and open the code, and then you need to build. You need to check whether it failed. When you build, oh, it fails. Why not just let the computer do that? So first, when they send a pull request, the Travis will help you to check whether that code breaks. So if the code breaks, you don't need to waste your time to check that code that breaks. So you just need to wait for the developer to fix their code and then send a new code that doesn't break the test. A lot of the time, when you are contributing to open source, you send a pull request. Then what the developer will tell you, they will say, oh, you don't submit a test code, so we don't accept your pull request. And then you need to send the test code. Like open source project nowadays, they don't accept code without pull request. So usually they'll keep their code coverage high, above 90%. I will talk about code coverage later. So this is about testing, how to do testing in continuous integration. And this is like, if you all can see, this is Travis. And then they are running some checking at the bottom. If it fails, that green thing will become red, so you don't need to bother checking that code. So this works well because let's say you have junior developers coming to the office or senior developers. They send you some pull requests to your code, or they directly commit to your main master branch. So you can see this commit failed the continuous integration. So time for you to check like what is happening. Okay, lastly, test coverage. I just wonder how many people know what is test coverage. Is it? Okay, don't see that much people. Okay, so test coverage with testing. If you return all those testing code, how do you know what code you tested? Like, let's say you return 10 functions, but you did write 10 testing code to test all the 10 functions, but the code still fails. Because sometimes you test the code, you test the flow that you expect it to work. Let's say you didn't test the edge cases. And using code coverage, you can identify like which part of code you didn't test. And you can also visualize like what code are tested. So if you use this, you know that whether you cover all the cases or you just cover the happy endings. Okay, so an example here. This is written in Python, and I written here a function, hello world. I tell the function, hello world, I want this language, and then you return me that string. Okay, this is internationalization, but please don't do this in production. This is just for demo purposes. So you just tell them the language, and then they'll return you that hello world in that language. Let's say if you pass them en, they'll return you hello world. If you pass them ZHCN, which stands for Chinese Simplified, they'll return you 你好世界. Just this is standard one. And then or else, then you just raise a value. I don't understand the language, so I don't need to return you that thing. Okay, so now I return some test code. The testing in other languages is a bit more complicated in Python. So you write a unit test, you import the unit test, and then you run the code. Let's say you test now. You have test cases which test for hello world in English and Chinese. If you see this code and the one before, you notice that I'm missing out the other path, right? But you thought, okay, these two paths works for me, so I don't need to care about other path. But sometimes you still need to care. So what is this? You use coverage. So this is example coverage run. You run the coverage with the unit test. So when you run, they will run the unit test normal, like how you did normally. But instead, now you just do coverage report. It will show you how many lines of code you have covered during testing. How many lines are tested and how many lines are not tested. And then, this is just a report in the terminal, but you can't see it, right? What you do? You run coverage HTML. This is example in Python. I'm sure other languages have this as well. So you just run this, and then they will give you a report. And it will show you, let's say, you have, this is a report, same like the one you saw just now. Okay, but this one is important. You can see that I tested this function. I tested the other path. I tested the two main paths, but I haven't tested the last one. So you know, like you haven't tested this code, so maybe you might want to go back and test it. Okay, now I'm talking about ignoring path. In flexible languages, like that have implicit error recovery. For example, Node.js, because they are using a middleware pattern. Let's say you put your next path, the last one, as returning a 500, which means you don't know what happened. you just return a 500 in case anything fails. Right now you have written an example like some code. So let's say you check this code have this error. So you expect that error, you catch the error. So you know that this error is being cached, there's some error. You know there's some error called some error. So you just send them 400 because you know this some error is something bad. So related to the 400 that request error, so you send them 400. But most of the time, what do you do at the end? If you leave this part, then if you run the code and then when you curl the HTTP server, it's like your requests are hanging. You don't know what happened, but it just doesn't reply, send you some response. So what you do? You need to do an else path. I just ignore this for a while. For now, you do an else path, and then you do a next error. So if anything that's not expected, because this is like implicit error language, most of the time you don't know what error is it. You cannot catch all possible errors. Like there's so many errors in JavaScript, but you don't know what kind of error will show up. So what you do instead, you just throw a next. But if you do something like this in your code coverage, you see how come I tested 99%, why is the 1%, and then you see this 1%, and then you get annoyed. I want to fix the 1%. What you do? You know sometimes you just want to make it like perfect. So what you do? You just come here, add Istanbul, ignore next. Istanbul is for the testing for the code coverage. So with this, you know that I don't know what is going to happen here, but I'm just going to ignore it in the coverage. So with this, you know what code to just ignore. Sometimes you need this because you don't know what error is going to happen. With this, you can like ignore some parts to be covered in the test. So you don't need to cover the test case. You're just lazy to cover this. You just put Istanbul ignore next. I think this is in other languages as well. Okay, the end. Any question? Yeah, question.
Hi, Ian. Just now when you talked about doing jobs for doing testing for like for freelancing work and consulting work, I feel like you reading my mind. It sounds like me speaking up there, So like, okay, going to that, right? How do you proposition to like balance out development time versus testing writing time? Talk about high level perspective, right? And what works for you?
Okay, first thing is you need to identify what the customer wants. If you do freelancing, let's say the customer wants to have good code quality. They don't want like gibberish code there hanging around. You want to increase their technical depth. They don't want that. Sometimes it depends on the customer. Some of them value your time, so they will pay you for your testing time. But some of them, they just want to see the end product, and they just give you this amount of money, and then there's no way you want to do testing for that. So even some bugs you don't want to fix for that kind of client, you ask them to pay more, or you just ignore. They don't care about tests anyway, so they don't know why. Maybe they don't know what is testing. You just don't do testing. For those that value, you can try ask them whether if they want testing. Some of them might agree, so maybe they'll pay you more, and then you can work on the tests for them. But usually the company doesn't want that because writing tests wastes a lot of your time. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Thanks.
Any questions?
How many interns or junior developers are there in?
Any other question? No question? You understood everything?
It's a very good teacher.
Very good teacher. Okay, thank you everyone.
I'll pass the
mic to Wendy.
Thank you so much for our speakers who volunteered their time and effort to prepare their talk for us today. We have a token of appreciation for you. First, and Yoshi. Yeah, so all the way from Singapore, we have this pin that says "Awesome Women Who Code Speaker." Thank you for contributing today. It's a women who code speaker, not women speaker. Yeah, I guess Suchi went home already, so we'll pass it to her. Okay, so unless anyone wants to come out and give a lightning talk or something, this is an opportunity for you to plug vacancies or say something, or looking for a job or what. PyCon. Okay, so someone wants to talk about PyCon.
So, who likes snakes? This is not a conference about snakes. So, my name is Sui. I'm the organizer of PyCon, the Python conference. So, we do everything except snake breeding. So, it's about the Python programming language. We do not have one focus. We are looking for speakers, and of course, more importantly, we're looking for attendees. So, all is welcome to join. We still work on the detail, but you can look it up at pycon.my. So, there's a few organizers among us, so just talk to us. Thank you. Oh, it'll be held in August. So.
No, if you catch with your event, like we will put it back. Singapore.
We didn't plan that. It's selected by the random number generator. Sorry.
Okay, Women Who Code, we are also organizing a conference on the 31st of August in Singapore. And this is a Connect Asia conference. It's so sad to split. Actually, this is the first time we are organizing a conference within this Asia Pacific region. So we have Women Who Code from Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Manila, and Tokyo together organizing this Women Who Code event, Connect Conference Asia, 31st of August. We are looking for speakers. So we will post the link on our Facebook. And we are also holding a t-shirt design contest. You can submit your t-shirt design, and if it's selected to be printed on the t-shirts for that day, you will get a free ticket to the conference. So that's my announcement. Thank you.
So, like Chilong said, pick a side. Anyone else have any announcements to make? If not, then thank you guys for coming.